Hi everybody. Now in this video we are going to discuss about the structure of the nephron from the chapter excretory products and their elimination. Excretory products and their elimination. We are going to discuss about the structure of the nephron. So here nephrons are present in the kidneys. Okay. Nephrons is a structure which is present in the kidney. Nephrons are known as the functional units of kidneys. Okay. These are the functional units. Okay, these are the functional units of kidneys, we call them as. So here if you are looking at the nephrons, okay, if you are looking at the nephrons, now where are they present? They are present in the kidneys. So remember that nephrons are present in the kidneys. So nearly 1 million, okay, there are nearly 1 million of nephrons present in each kidney. Okay, there are nearly 1 million of nephrons present in each kidney. Now here is the diagram showing the structure of a nephron. The structure of a nephron. Now if you are seeing here we should remember that the nephron consists of two major parts. Nephron consists of two major parts. That is, the first one is called as the glomerulus. Okay, the first one is called as the glomerulus. And the second part of the nephron, in simple, we can call it as the renal tubule. Okay, renal tubule is the second part. Okay, it is the second part we are calling it as. So nephron can be broadly grouped or can be broadly divided into two parts. One is what? Glomerulus and the renal tubule. Now we will discuss in a simple way what is this glomerulus. What is this glomerulus? Glomerulus, if you are seeing in the diagram, I'm drawing it again in a simple way. Okay, if you are seeing in this diagram now, it is the fine network of capillaries. Okay, it is the fine network of capillaries that are present here in the nephron. Okay, in the nephron we say here. Now look at here carefully. This is a blood vessel that is now entering into the nephron and leaving out. Okay, it is the blood vessel now entering inside into the nephron, and from one side it is leaving out. What is this blood vessel that is entering into the nephron? The blood vessel which is entering into the nephron is called as efferent artery, which we will be calling it as the efferent artery. We are calling this as the efferent artery. Okay, we are calling this as the efferent artery. The blood vessel which is leaving out will be called as efferent artery. Okay, will be called as efferent artery. Okay, this is the efferent artery we are calling it as. So there are two blood vessels which are entering. One is entering into the nephron and one is leaving the nephron. And remember, the efferent artery is the blood vessel that is formed from the renal artery that is entering into the kidneys. That is entering into the kidneys. Remember this. This renal artery, okay, after entering into the kidneys, it is branched into many branches, and those branches that are formed from the renal artery are each one called as what? Efferent arteries. And each efferent artery is entering into a nephron, And the same thing, when it is leaving out, we are calling it as the efferent artery. Efferent artery. We'll be talking about it in a very detailed way now. Now, when the efferent artery enters inside into the nephron, which is here appearing like a cup-like structure, here it forms, efferent artery is forming as the many minute tuft blood capillaries, or nothing but they are also blood vessels, but they are very minute. And these minute blood vessels here, what are these now? These are the minute blood vessels. Okay, these are the minute blood vessels. So these minute blood vessels are called as the glomerulus. Okay, are called as what? Glomerulus. So that's what we are talking about. So what is now glomerulus? It is nothing but the blood vessels. What are those blood vessels? They are the capillaries. Okay, they are the capillaries. They are the minute, okay, blood vessels which are called as what? The capillaries. The minute blood vessels which are known as the capillaries are now called as what? The glomerulus. Are called as the glomerulus. So here you can remember that glomerulus is nothing but what? the capillaries. What are capillaries? These are the blood vessels. Okay, it is the same repeated point I am telling you. Okay, blood vessels. So here you should remember, glomerulus is nothing but the capillaries. They are the blood vessels. Where are they present? They are present as part of the nephron. Please remember that. They are present as part of the nephron now. Okay, they are present as the part of nephron. That's why we said nephron is of two parts, glomerulus and the renal tubule. Glomerulus and the renal tubule we said. Now, carefully look at here. Now the renal tubule, the second part of the nephron. Second part of the nephron we will see now. The second part of the nephron is called as what now? Renal tubule. It is called as the renal tubule. Now here this renal tubule, now it starts with a cup-like structure, double membrane bound, okay, which is a cup-like structure, and this cup-like structure we call it as Bowman's capsule. We will be calling it as what? Bowman's capsule we are calling it as. Please remember this, okay? Bowman's capsule we are saying. Just after that, Bowman's capsule is now continued as a convoluted tubule. It is folded. It is now folded and it is called as convoluted tubule. What is this convoluted tubule now called as? Proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule. And this proximal convoluted tubule is now extended down as a straight tube. As a straight tube, and again in a transverse section, and again in ascending, okay, limb like, okay, it is ascending now. So it is, if you are clearly observing, it is appearing like U-shaped, or otherwise it is appearing like a hairpin. Okay, it is appearing like a hairpin. Remember that. Okay, it is appearing like a hairpin. So this particular part of the nephron will be called as the Henle's loop. It is called as the Henle's loop. Please remember that. From here to here, okay, this complete part will be called as what now? It is called as the Henle's loop we are calling it as. Okay, in Henle's loop. This diagram is very clearly given in your NCERT textbooks. You can go through that diagram very clearly. But otherwise, just look at here. Now, if you are seeing here, this is the U-shaped tube, which we are calling it as what? Henle's loop. And this Henle's loop is having two parts. The limb which is descending down and the limb which is ascending up. So this part of the Henle's loop will be called as descending limb of Henle's loop. And this part of the Henle's loop will be called as ascending limb of the Henle's loop. So remember, this is descending limb and this is what now? The ascending limb of the Henle's loop. But in depth, if you are seeing, even this part, okay, is also called as transverse limb we call it as. We call it as the transverse limb we call it as. But now you have come across now the Bowman's capsule, okay, proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, which is having two parts, descending limb and ascending limb. And then followed by the other convoluted tubule called as at the distal end. That's why it is called as what? Distal convoluted tubule. Distal convoluted tubule we are calling it as. Now DCT we are saying it as, okay, distal convoluted tubule we are calling it as, okay, please remember that. Now this distal convoluted tubule is attached or joined to the other part called as what now? Collecting duct. It is joined to the collecting duct. And remember one point, there will be many nephrons. There will be many nephrons which will be connected to the collecting duct, okay, which will be connected to the connecting duct, okay, please remember, collecting duct, okay. So here there will be maybe another nephron, here there may be another nephron. So many nephrons with their distal convoluted tubule, they will come and join to what? The collecting duct. And this collecting duct now enters into the other part of the kidneys, as we have seen, like the medullary pyramids. The medullary pyramids are present where we said? They are present in the calyces we said, and these calyces are now joined to what? The renal pelvis we said, renal pelvis. So like that, these collecting ducts now join to the medullary pyramids which are connected to the renal calyces, and from there to the renal pelvis they are joined, and they will be coming out, they are carrying out, as the urine is formed, they will be carrying out the urine into the ureter outside from the kidneys, okay, from the kidneys outside into a tube called as what? Ureters. So here you have seen the parts, you have seen the parts. Now we have seen the parts that are coming under the nephron as two parts. What are those? Glomerulus and the renal tubule. Glomerulus and the renal tubule. The same parts we are going to just look at the diagram and label now following the diagram. Okay, following the diagram we are going to label the parts now. Okay, we are going to label the parts now. And now let us label the parts following this diagram that is there in your textbooks, NCERT textbooks, which is very important. Now look at here. This is the nephron we are saying. Now what we said, nephron has two parts we said, glomerulus and the renal tubule we said. Okay, glomerulus and the renal tubule. Now here the blood vessel that is entering into the nephron, what is this one which is entering into the nephron? We said the first one is called as what? The efferent artery. Okay, efferent artery is entering into the kidneys or into the nephron. Okay, efferent artery. Then the efferent artery, okay, is leaving out as what? This is the second one, let us say. It is leaving out as what? The efferent artery. These are the blood vessels. Okay, these are the blood vessels, efferent artery. And now the most important parts we are going for. Okay, the most important parts. And now here the third one, let us say. Okay, the third one is what now? It is the glomerulus. We already said glomerulus is the first part of what? The nephron we said. It is nothing but what? Capillaries, minute capillaries, very compactly arranged, tuft. They are very compactly arranged blood vessels, okay, that are there. And glomerulus, you just remember in simple that they are nothing but what? The capillaries, the blood vessels, okay, capillaries. And now these, okay, glomerulus is the capillaries we said. And here if you are seeing the next part, we will be talking about what now? The renal tubule, okay, the other parts which are coming under the renal tubule. If you are coming across the renal tubule now, you should remember it is starting with what now? The fourth one, the Bowman's capsule. Okay, it is starting with the Bowman's capsule. Okay, it is starting with the Bowman's capsule. And here is this Bowman's capsule now. Okay, Bowman's capsule. And the fifth one is what? Let us say this is the convoluted tubule, the fifth one, and this will be called as what? Proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, this is the next one. In short, we will be calling it as what? PCT. Okay, PCT we are calling it as. And then followed by the descending limb and also the ascending limb. And both together we are calling it as what now? We are calling this as what? The sixth one, let us name this as the Henle's loop. Okay, we are calling this as the Henle's loop. Okay, so here you have to remember Henle's loop is having what? The descending limb. Okay, descending Henle's loop and ascending Henle's loop. Okay, descending Henle's loop and ascending Henle's loop we are saying. And the next one, the seventh one. Okay, the seventh one, if you are seeing, it is this. We will be calling this as what now? The distal convoluted tubule. Okay, distal convoluted tubule. Okay, distal convoluted tubule we are calling it as. And now this distal convoluted tubule, in short, we will be calling it as DCT. Okay, we are calling it as DCT. And the last one, what is this now? It is called as the collecting duct. Okay, it is called as the collecting duct. Let us say this is the eighth one. Okay, let us say this is the eighth one, and that is the collecting duct. Okay, this is the collecting duct. And now, okay, here the point, another point we have to remember is that the glomerulus plus the Bowman's capsule. Please remember this: glomerulus plus the Bowman's capsule. Okay, glomerulus plus the Bowman's capsule, both together called as Malpighian body. Okay, both together called as what? Malpighian body. I'm writing here, please check it. Okay, Malpighian body. Okay, it is called as Malpighian body, or otherwise it is also called as the renal corpuscle. It is also called as the renal corpuscle. Please follow this carefully and you have to remember these words. Okay, you have to remember these words. Okay, very important words. Glomerulus plus what? The Bowman's capsule. Glomerulus plus Bowman's capsule is named as what? Malpighian body, or otherwise also called as what? Renal corpuscle. Also called as renal corpuscle. Okay, please remember these are the other names given for both together. What are those? Glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. So here we came across the different parts of the nephron. But here, if you are seeing in the diagram, there is a highly coiled tube that is arising from what? The second one. What is the second one? Efferent artery. Okay, from the efferent artery, there is a highly coiled blood vessel that is there. Now coiling around what? Different parts of the nephron. What are those parts which are coiled by the efferent artery now? The proximal convoluted tubule, the Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule. It is completely coiled with the efferent artery. So let us see what is the importance of this efferent artery that is coiling around the blood vessel. Okay, that is coiling around the blood vessel. We are going to now look at and see this. Okay, we are going to look at and see this now. Now here we should remember the most important part where you should not get confused. Here if you are seeing in this diagram, okay, in this diagram, let us say that this part is the cortex region of the kidneys, okay, cortex region of the kidneys, and this part as the medullary part of the kidneys, okay, medulla of the kidneys, okay. Hope you are following it, okay, cortex region and medulla region, okay, medulla region. Otherwise I am showing you like this. If this is the kidneys, okay, if this is the kidney, the outermost periphery part of the kidney is called as what? Cortex we are saying. And this part is called as what? Medulla, and this part we are calling it as the cortex. That's the meaning over here. So here if you are seeing, let us say that this is the cortex region, means this one, and the other part, this is the medulla that is there deep inside now. Now here, there are two types of nephrons that will be present. Majority of the nephrons will be having their Malpighian body, or otherwise what is that Malpighian body? Just now we said, we learned that is nothing but Bowman's capsule plus glomerulus. That is, glomerulus is blood vessels, capillaries, okay, that are present in the cup-like structure. This is the one, okay. These glomerulus plus what? The Bowman's capsule. These two together we call it as what? Malpighian corpuscle, okay, Malpighian body or renal corpuscle, okay, renal corpuscle we said. So here the Malpighian body, one, okay, Malpighian body we are saying, okay, Malpighian body, okay, let us say this Malpighian body. Then the second one is proximal convoluted tubule. Then the third one is distal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule. All these are there, if you are seeing clearly, they are present in what? In the cortex region, cortex region. And what is left over? The Henle's loop, of course the collecting duct also, okay, which is there deep inside in the medulla. Now if you are seeing here, the Henle's loop having descending limb and the ascending limb, descending limb and ascending limb in one, okay, in some, okay, in majority of the nephrons will be having the Henle's loop, okay, Henle's loop just dipped into the medulla, just there present in the medulla. What is that? Means in simple we can say a very little part of the Henle's loop is present in the medulla, okay, is present in the medulla. In majority of the nephrons, you can see that the Henle's loop is just present, very little part of this is present in the medulla. Such nephrons which are present like this, okay, which are present like this now, okay, which are present like this, these type of nephrons are called as cortical nephrons, okay, these are called as what? Cortical nephrons, okay, these are called as the cortical nephrons, we are calling them as, okay, because all the parts, okay, all the parts are present where? In the cortex region only. A very little part of the Henle's loop is present in the medulla, we are saying. Such nephrons are called as what? Cortical nephrons, we are calling them as cortical nephrons. And in the other case, okay, in the other case, if you are seeing these nephrons, okay, here if you are seeing these nephrons, they are very few in number where they will be present like this in the kidneys. These nephrons, if you are seeing very clearly, Malpighian body means the glomerulus plus Bowman's capsule, PCT and DCT. All these are present where? In the cortex region. But if you are seeing here, the Henle's loop is present deep inside the medulla. That's the point we have to remember. That's the major difference you have to keep in mind. The Henle's loop is present deep inside the medulla. So that's why such type of nephrons are called as juxtamedullary nephrons. Okay, juxtamedullary nephrons. Okay, juxtamedullary nephrons. Please remember these two different types of nephrons. Okay, two different types of nephrons. So in simple, if the Henle's loop is just present, very little part of the Henle's loop is present in the medulla, they are called as cortical nephrons. Majority of the nephrons are cortical nephrons. In some other nephrons, major part or the Henle's loop is present deep inside the medulla, and they are called as what? Juxtamedullary nephrons. Juxtamedullary nephrons. So based upon the Henle's loop, now the nephrons can be of two types. Okay, cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. Okay, cortical nephrons and juxtamedullary nephrons. Now we will look at the efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole is branched into fine network. Okay, it is branched into fine network and it is coiled around the proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, and also distal convoluted tubule. Follow this carefully. The efferent arteriole is branched into fine network of blood vessels. They are the capillaries, and they are coiling around the other parts of the nephron, like what? The proximal convoluted tubule. In short, we are calling it as PCT, and Henle's loop, descending Henle's loop, ascending Henle's loop, and also this part called as the distal convoluted tubule. So around this, the efferent arteriole is forming very minute branches of capillaries, and it is coiling around. Okay, it is coiling around. And after coiling, if you are clearly observing, see here, these coilings, complete coilings of the blood vessels arising from the efferent arteriole are called as peritubular capillaries. Are called as peritubular capillaries. So we have to remember that peritubular capillaries. Okay. So what are those peritubular capillaries? We are going to now look at that. Now let us look at it very carefully and learn about this efferent arteriole. Now here, now again I am showing you the diagram. Say suppose if this is the Bowman's, okay, or sorry, the nephron. Okay, if this is the nephron, okay, this is the nephron, and here is the complete nephron showing the Bowman's capsule with what now? The glomerulus, and here the efferent arteriole, and this is what? Efferent artery we said. Okay, efferent. One which is entering is called as efferent, one which is leaving is called as efferent. Now we are talking about this efferent arm. Look at this carefully. This efferent artery comes outside and forms as a fine network of capillaries called as peritubular capillaries. Please remember this word. Okay, a fine network of blood vessels or capillaries called as peritubular capillaries. Okay, peritubular capillaries. Now here, what are the peritubular capillaries now? Peritubular capillaries are formed from the efferent arteriole as a fine network. See here, it is completely now branched around this. Okay, it is completely branched around what now? The proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, and also what? Distal convoluted tubule. This is what is happening here. Now here is the efferent arteriole. It is forming as the fine network around all the parts of the nephron. Especially which parts means the proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, and distal convoluted. They are completely coiled around all these. What are those coiling means? It is the efferent arteriole forming as the peritubular capillaries. Now looking at this, now if you are clearly observing, you will be seeing that there will be another part that will be formed. There will be another part that will be formed in the diagram if you are clearly seeing now. Now see here carefully in the diagram. From these capillaries, if you are seeing, there is one, okay, fine network of the blood vessel, that is of the efferent arteriole, forming as one single or as one parallel to the descending limb and also parallel to the ascending limb. Okay, there is a blood vessel that is formed, and here we can say like this in simple. Okay, if this is the nephron that is there present like this. Now from the efferent arteriole, okay, I am just showing you the other blood vessel formed from the peritubular capillaries. This is what, okay, and again it is coiling forming here, and it is going like this. So here, this fine network of the blood vessel that is there present around the descending limb and the ascending limb of the Henle's loop, this one, okay, of the peritubular capillaries will be called as what now? Vasa Recta. Please remember this, which is very important for our next part of the chapter. Okay, Vasa Recta. So Vasa Recta is nothing but what? It is part of what? The peritubular capillaries. They are running parallel to the Henle's loop. They are running parallel to the Henle's loop. And if you are seeing now, it is appearing like what shape means? It is appearing like a U-shaped. Okay, it is appearing like a U-shaped. You can see very clearly. So Vasa Recta is part of what? The peritubular capillaries, which are running parallel to the Henle's loop, forming as what? U-shaped. Okay, forming as the U-shape. So here you have to remember the word Vasa Recta, which is very important for our next part of the chapter, which is important for the next part of our chapter. So here we came across what now? The structure of the nephron having different parts. Nephron is having two parts, we said, glomerulus and the renal tubule. Now glomerulus plus the Bowman's capsule of the renal tubule togetherly called as what? Malpighian body or renal corpuscle, we said. The other parts of the renal tubule are what? The first part is Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, descending Henle's loop, ascending Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting duct. These are the parts, and the efferent artery is forming as the fine network of blood vessels called as peritubular capillaries. From the peritubular capillaries, there is a blood vessel that is running parallel to the Henle's loop, which is now appearing like a U shape, that is called as what? Vasa Recta. Vasa Recta. So these are the parts that we have to remember when we are talking about the structure of the nephron.